Bonjour à toutes, bonjour à tous. Je dis 2-3 mots en français parce qu'il y a beaucoup de français dans la salle. Et après, c'est promis, je passe à l'anglais. Je suis très très heureux d'avoir sous mes yeux là une communauté d'entrepreneurs français exceptionnels. Je voulais vous remercier, je voulais vous féliciter. Vous avez tous bâti des carrières personnelles et des entreprises très souvent remarquables que nous finançons, que nous accompagnons. Nous souhaitons votre succès. C'est vraiment un moment de fierté pour le pays que je représente. Voilà. Et donc, merci. So I switch to English for American colleagues that I welcome in this mostly French assembly to tell you a bit of messages about what we do, what we try to do in France to steer, energize French entrepreneurs, endeavor entrepreneurship in the country. Lots of things have changed in the past 10 years. We created Bpifrance 12 years ago out of a mixture, a sort of noodle soup of agencies which were not communicating with each other. We built a bank. My team's 5,000 people are managing basically 200 billion euros. And our business lines are equity. We are probably one of the biggest equity boutiques in France with 60 billion under management, funds of funds, direct investment, all categories from seed to very big tickets of 1.5 billion, 2 billion if necessary in French multinationals. And funds of funds, we invest every year 1.5 to 1.7 billion euros in approximately 50 funds per year. So we are invested in 500 funds. Some funds are here in New York, others in California, in Sweden, in Germany, and so forth. So not only France. And the underlying funds, French funds that we finance, have a call from us, a sort of duty to invest up to 50% outside of France, to be globalized. So that's the equity part of our business. We were very surprised last year to look at the results of PitchBook, who announced us that in private equity we were number 2 worldwide in the number of deals. So this is something you need to know. We do a lot of very small deals in family-owned businesses in the regions. And the consequence of that is that we have a sort of statistical kind of work, even if it's not statistical at all. We do a lot of deals. And when you add the number of deals that we do in direct investments in VC, we are probably number 1 worldwide in number of deals. Not in euros, of course, but in number. We have 700 people in our equity branch, which is a lot, and all across the French territory. And therefore, we have the means, we have built a machine which allows us to equitize the French economy. The rest of what we do is loans, is innovation financing. Innovation is massive for us because we are the sort of branch of the French state and of the European Commission to funnel massive innovation money to the French economy. When I say massive innovation money, I'm talking of big figures, understandably. In 2023, we pushed 9 billion euros only in the year. 9 billion euros of innovation money, which is soft loans, basically, subsidies, reimbursable advances, innovation loans, seed loans, and so forth, in just 1 year. So that gives you the magnitude of the commitment of the French state and of the European Commission towards innovation today in a country like France. We also have built something which is now part of the secret sauce of the bank, which is the biggest consulting company for SMEs in France. Because we recognize progressively that by pushing capital, financial capital without human capital, we were missing the target. At least we were missing half of the target. And we discovered that it was not extremely costly to add to financial capital a bit of human presence through consulting. So we built a complete boutique, which is executing every year approximately 10,000 consulting assignments. We have created 200 schools for entrepreneurs, which we call the accelerators, and we bring to those schools 1,000 companies per year. So it's big. We have 2,000 consultants to do that. And the multiplier effect on the performance of our customers, which are our partners, I'm going to come back to that now, is extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary for, I would say, a marginal additional cost, which we take on our balance sheet. We are positioned, we are a normal bank for the French colleagues who are in the room know that, but the American friends in this room maybe do not know that. It's a bank which is regulated by the European Central Bank, has exactly the same constraints as BNP Paribas or Société Générale or Crédit Agricole. So it's performance-based, it's equity-based, of course, and it's completely market practice with public shareholders. French state 49%, and a sort of French arm, a public arm, which is called Caisse des dépôts et consignations, the sort of French CDPQ, if you see what I mean, has another 49%, and BNP Paribas, Société Générale, AXA have the 2% remaining. The company is extremely autonomous and sovereign in its behavior. It is very competitive. It is very profitable. We have been generating in the past 12 years approximately 7% of value creation average per year. So for the taxpayers' money, which are invested in our company, it's good. It's a good business. And we push all the energy of the French ecosystem of entrepreneurs. Not only the startups, 25,000 startups in France. That's massive now, and it's snowballing constantly, vertical by vertical. I mean, now the big theme, of course, is green tech. Green tech, we finance 2,500 green techs in France. And a lot come from the French universities, which brings me to a point that I want to steer with you, which is our influence in the cultural change of the French universities, the science universities. There are, basically 25 science centers in France, significant with international recognition and so forth. But the translation of this science into economy is under par, I would say. It's not exactly where we would like it to be. So we have launched a massive program to incite the French scientists, researchers, to become entrepreneurs. And we call it the Deep Tech Plan, which starts to be really successful. And it's generating a new flow, a new generation of entrepreneurs which are science-based. And not only classical, biotech and medtech entrepreneurs. This we knew and we had them before. But in all the other verticals of science, I mean, quantic, I mean, microfluidics, everything which is linked to materials and so forth, our aim is to generate 500 new deep tech startups per year. And we started at 100 4 years ago. And we are now at 380 per year. So, the volumes are coming. The best practices for us are, of course, Israel, and some of the US universities. Not all of them, by the way. It all boils down to the quality of the technology transfer, of the offices of technology transfer that you guys have. Some of them are extremely business-centered. Some of them are not. In the US, I'm talking. So we look at the good ones, which are totally focused on business, and we try to replicate the good recipes that we find here. Also in UK, also in Sweden, also in Israel, and so forth. We think that one of the major elements of the sort of competitive battle between countries will be on that, the quality of technology transfer out of universities to generate that whole new generation of deep tech startups that become afterwards industrial companies, because they have to build factories and they have to, align and produce the complex objects that they have invented, which brings me to tell you that we also have a big mandate to reindustrialize France. And most of that reindustrialization is going to come from innovation coming from the deep tech plan that I just described. So the idea is that we generate every year 100 industrial startups coming from the deep tech scene, which is very ambitious, but actually we are making it now. For that, we need a lot of capital, of course. So we put our capital, and we have our counterparts, but reindustrialization is not like the digital scene as far as capital mobilization is concerned. We need a lot of capital. And there are many opportunities, which brings me to a message to our American friends here. I mean, we need American capital in France. Undoubtedly, for that, for the rest, of course, for a lot of things. I mean, you're mostly welcome in tourism also. But as far as deep tech is concerned, I give you an example, quantic. Quantic, we finance 5 worldwide quality startups, which are best of breed, honestly. The quality of the quantic school of France is recognized everywhere in the world. And all those companies are going to raise 300, 400, 500 million euros, each of them, now, to start to build the factories that build the computers. So that money, we have part of it. You have big French pockets and European pockets who have a little bit of it, but we need international money, undoubtedly. And the good news is that we start to see the US investors looking at that scene. We prefer the US investors to the Chinese investors, of course, but I can tell you that the Chinese are all over the place in Europe, and notably in France. All this is recognized, all this is scanned. They see everything happening in the different scenes of deep tech in our country. So that's an example, Quantic, but space tech is another one. I mean, we have a lot of startups in the space tech vertical coming out of Toulouse, very, very good ones, actually, with very, very good science. Some of them are in the room, by the way. And it's the same. They're going to have to raise a lot of capital, a lot of capital. So that's where we are today. You saw that there was the publication of a very important report as far as Europe is concerned, which is the Draghi report. The Draghi report, I recommend the reading of that document, which is really a sort of good photography of what Europe is today, and which points at an unfortunate reality, which is that the quantity of capital which is put at risk in innovation financing in Europe is not sufficient at all. And a big part of the European savings go to be invested in innovation in the US. That's the reality. So we have to do something, because it's a pity to see so much science coming from the universities of Europe, not only France, with no translation in the European economy, and a translation in Chinese economy, massive. When you see the quantity of European science that you have in the Chinese products, be they bought or stolen, it's huge. And and in the US, it's not stolen, it's just bought. But massively also. We're cropping so many startups and patents and so forth. So that's what we do. I don't want to be too long. I want you to maybe have two figures in mind as far as the volumes are concerned of what we do. In the next 4 years, we are going to funnel to the French economy 35 billion euros in reindustrialization, and another 35 billion euros in decarbonation of the French economy. So total 70 billion. And that's just part of what we do. Then on top of that, we have lots of actions in the health sector. For example, 12 billion euros in the next 4 years. In artificial intelligence, I have to talk about artificial intelligence, of course. I need to tick the box. So artificial intelligence, of course, is changing everything. We will invest 6 billion in the next 4 years. So big time money. Will it be sufficient, considering the needs? Answer is no. Answer is no. So we are at a moment of the transformation of the economies, which makes it necessary to mobilize huge envelopes of capital that are going to come from Europe, if we find, or your country, for those of you who are American. And you're mostly welcome. Thank you very much.